I hope you're able to hear me and see the slides clearly. So please comment S in the chat panel if you're able to do so that we can start the demo. So that's lovely. So I got few acknowledgement from the audience. So I hope everyone is able to hear the webinar clearly and able to see the visual. So let's get started now. Network is an indispensable resource for running any businesses. So we are compelled to monitor the same. It is a quote by a famous network administrator. Some of the most common challenges faced by our network admins are: what is going through my network? Who are the top talkers on my network? What are the top destinations? What is the total traffic of layer 4 and layer 7 applications? Whether the employees are efficiently using my bandwidth for business purposes? Why is the internet slow? Is it the bandwidth issue or is something else blocking it down? Phew. I know it's a lot of questions. Trust me, most of the network administrators break their heads in finding answers for these questions. Introducing NetFlow Analyzer, a simple vendor-independent bandwidth monitoring solution for all the answers of your network admins. So I am Sabi, product evangelist from Manage Engine. I'll be hosting the webinar on NetFlow Analyzer initial setup part 1. So without any further delay, let's get started. And just to let you know that you can drop any of your queries regarding NetFlow Analyzer in the chat panel so that our experienced support team will assist you on your queries. So the agenda for today would be introduction to NetFlow Analyzer, prerequisites, configuring flow, inventory, mapping, grouping, and dashboard view, and administration of NetFlow Analyzer. Just for your information, we'll be referring NetFlow Analyzer as NFA in some of the places. Introduction to NetFlow Analyzer. NetFlow Analyzer, or commonly known as NFA, is a simple traffic analytics tool that leverages flow technology to provide real-time visibility into the network bandwidth performance. It plays around with flow technologies like NetFlow, SFlow, JFlow, AppFlow, IPFix, and NetStream. It helps you to detect the app that hogs your network, and it will help you to monitor the network bandwidth and the traffic pattern at the interface level. It will also help you to track network anomalies that surpasses your network firewall. Some of the characteristics of NetFlow Analyzer is it is a simple on-premise tool, so that resides on your server, and it runs on browsers like Mozilla, Chrome, and the latest version of Internet Explorer. It is completely an agentless monitoring solution, so we don't have to install any agent on any device for monitoring any type of information with NetFlow Analyzer. So the product is available for both Windows and Linux platforms, and it supports PG-SQL as well as Microsoft SQL as database. So while installing, you can choose any one of them to store the data of NetFlow Analyzer. So by default, PG-SQL is the default database for NetFlow Analyzer, which will be available with the installation file. So whenever you install NetFlow Analyzer, Postgres database gets installed with it. And it also has the feasibility of working with Microsoft SQL database, as I told you earlier. And if you have an existing SQL database, you can key in the information of the SQL database while installing the product so that you can save the data in the SQL database. So before we getting into the product, let's see some of the concepts. Like we use internet nowadays for everything, don't we? So we type the domain name in the browser and voila, we have what we requested for our screen on a single click. Have we ever thought how exactly the request is sent? So we know that a HTTP request is sent and we got response. So now let's see in depth. So whenever I request for a domain, group of packets are sent from my PC or laptop to the web server via a router or via a router interface. So this group of packets are termed as flow. So the router or the switch decides whether the packet or the flow should be routable or not. So as soon as it decides that the packet is routable, it makes a note of the information like what is the source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, protocol, bytes in the flow cache information. So flow cache is a place where all of these informations will be recorded. So sometimes flow cache will have some thousands of hundreds of thousands of records like this, and in sometimes it will have even millions of records. So what happens here is, so we'll be exporting these flow cache data from the router to the NetFlow Analyzer server, and from where we'll be able to take network traffic reports. Now we should talk about the NetFlow Analyzer licensing. So since we export the flow from the interface, we need to monitor all the interfaces of a router. So say for example, if you have a device with 2 LAN interfaces, 3 WAN interfaces, and 5 LAN interfaces, and if your requirement is to only monitor LAN and WAN, then it's 5 NetFlow Analyzer license. And if your requirement is to monitor all the interfaces of a router, then it is 10 NetFlow Analyzer license. This is because the packet flows through the interface on a networking device. So the NetFlow Analyzer license is based on interface and not device. And we account both physical interface as well as logical interface. It could be a VLAN or a loopback interface. If you want to monitor the traffic through it, it is accountable for a NetFlow Analyzer license. So editions. So we have a couple of editions in NetFlow Analyzer. One is essential and another one is distribution. So each has their own advantages. So where if you're looking out for monitoring NBAR or CBQoS information and capacity planning and attack-based information, those are available in the distributed. And where essential is for a single instance of NetFlow Analyzer, and for distribution is for an enterprise level architecture, where you will have a collector and a central concept involved. So if you have a multi-branch organization, you can opt for distributed edition. And also, if the flow rate is below 100K, and if you don't want to get NBAR or capacity planning and ASM information, then you can opt for essential edition of NetFlow Analyzer. And if your requirement is more than 100K, or if you want any of these informations to be monitored, in those cases, you should opt for distribution edition. So this is a quick architecture of how the distribution edition is, like where are the collectors and where the central is. So the collector will independently monitor the devices and the interfaces in their location, and they will have a direct connection between the central NetFlow Analyzer and the collector NetFlow Analyzer. So all the interfaces that are being monitored by the collector will be listed down under the central. From the central console, you'll be able to view the traffic or bandwidth information of your complete organization across the globe. Prerequisites. So since the NetFlow Analyzer is a lightweight product and the maximum size of the application is like in 100 of MBs, so it doesn't demand for any dedicated server. Even it can be installed on a VM machine with a supported operating system. But the spec, when I mean the spec, the resource of the server varies according to the rate of flows per second. So on an average, for an average requirement of monitoring 3,000 to 6,000 flows per second of a network, we recommend a processor with 4 core and a RAM with 8 gig and with a storage space of 500 GB hard disk. And please do note that the spec varies according to the flow rate and also the NetFlow Analyzer functionalities used. So NetFlow Analyzer functionalities, we have a couple of functionalities which would take more system resources. So based on this, the system resources will vary. So we are currently using 12.3.179 for this webinar. So this is the latest build for the webinar visuals. So before we get into the tool, we have to do something from the device end. That is configuring the device to export the flows. So since it works with a protocol called NetFlow, we cannot just add a device in any product to monitor in-depth analysis of your bandwidth. So we have to configure the device to export the flow in order to monitor the bandwidth. So the configuring flows is possible or carried out by 3 means, like using the CLI or GUI or by using the NCM module in NetFlow Analyzer. The first one is, and the commonly used way is by using the command line interface of any device. So you can connect to the device like switch, router, or firewall using PuTTY, get into the command line mode. You have to key in the information like the IP address, the destination IP address, where should I send the flow? And that is where the NetFlow Analyzer is installed. And you should also mention what is the destination port that the flow should be sent. So by default, NetFlow Analyzer listens to the port number 9996. and which is configurable from the UI. So if you think you want to add and customize port, you can very well do that from the product UI itself. And not only that, it has you can add multiple ports. So you can add up to a maximum of 5 listener ports where NetFlow Analyzer can listen. And you also have to set the NetFlow version. Say, for example, if you are configuring a Cisco device, you have to explicitly say whether you're going to export NetFlow version 5, 9, or if it is going to be a flexible NetFlow, or if it is going to be or any other vendor devices like HP or Juniper, we might not have to bother about this. So we have to set the time interval for the same, and we have to explicitly say what interface are we going to export the flow from. In some cases, my requirement could be to monitor only the WAN interface. So in those cases, I can just apply the configuration to the WAN interface so that the device will immediately start sending the flows. Or if it is it going to be a complete interface monitoring, I need to apply the configuration on all the interfaces to get this. So you should also say like what is a flow that you're going to see. Is it going to be an ingress traffic or egress traffic? That has to be explicitly mentioned. One advantage with NetFlow Analyzer is if you just mention the ingress traffic, NetFlow Analyzer has the potential to determine the egress traffic as well. So that is an advantage of NetFlow Analyzer over other bandwidth monitoring solution. So for more configurations like this, we have the link down over here. You can just copy paste the same in your browser and get a lot of sample configurations. So what you're looking here is a sample configuration that is carried out on a Cisco router 2621, where I have to get into the enable mode and get into the configuration mode, and I'm configuring the fast Ethernet interface 0/1 for ingress. So I'm just entering the information about the destination IP address and the port number. And I'm also mentioning the version as well. So as soon as you execute these commands on the device and write it, the device will start sending the flows. So this is one way of doing it. So the next is using the graphical user interface or the GUI. So some of the devices or the vendors help the user with the GUI mode of the device, where on a single click you can say, okay, export these flows from the device to the NetFlow Analyzer server IP address at this specified port. You can even use this GUI mode of the devices. And third one is by using the Network Configuration Manager module, that is NCM, also called as NCM, one of my favorite. So NCM is a simple tool that uses protocols like Telnet or SSH for managing the configurations of any CLI-based devices. So let it be a switch, router, or firewall, even in Linux server, we can manage the configurations using the Telnet or the SSH protocol. So we use these protocols to take a backup of the device configuration, store it in a database in an encrypted format in AES-256 format, and you also have the feasibility of uploading the configuration to the devices, run a compliance check, get notified if what is the change made, when the change made, or who exactly the change was. So using this Network Configuration Manager module, we have some predefined commands in our tool. So we use a concept called device template for each device type, and this device template will have commands for exporting the NetFlow packets. So you can just add the device in NCM module and export, say, export flow. So as soon as you do it, the commands will be executed in the device, and the device will start sending the flows to the NetFlow Analyzer module. So even without interacting with the device UI on a single click with our tool, you'll be able to manage the configuration as well as monitor the bandwidth network. So it is just doing two stuff on a single go. So let me quickly show you in the product UI. So what you're seeing here is a quick view, and let me get into the config mode of that is also called as NCM or Network Configuration Manager. So I will have to add the device over here, like entering the IP address. So it's going to be 192.168.50.131. So it's a Cisco device. So as soon as you add it, it will pull out the device template associated for it. You also have the feasibility of selecting one. You hit add. Okay, it looks like the device is already added. So let's assume that the device is not added. So you have to key in the login name, the password, the prompt, the enable prompt, and the enable password. Once you key in those information and hit save and test or save, there will be commands executed on the device, and immediately there will be a backup trigger. So you can see the last operation status is backup successful. So let's get into the snapshot page of the device. So this is what we call the snapshot page of the device, where we get a quick information about the configuration stuff. So our concern is to export the flows. So as soon as you click on the actions icon, you have the option called export flow. You click this, it will pull out all the interfaces that are available in that devices. So my requirement is to just get this information of fast Ethernet 0/0. I'm going to hit next. So here I'll be able to choose what type of NetFlow should I export. Is it going to be NetFlow version 5, or is it going to be a flexible NetFlow? And if you think the commands are obsolete, and if you want to add your own commands, you have the feasibility of adding the same. And once you hit apply, the commands will be executed in the device, and the device will immediately start sending the flows. So this is one way of doing it. And give me a quick minute. So this is a device template, what I was talking about. So the device template will have informations on the commands, like how to get those information, and you also have it over here. And just in case if you think we are not having the commands, or we are not having the configuration to export the flow, you can very well add a flow configlet over here. And also you can use this configlet comment page, where you can just key in the commands that you need. So not only for exporting the flows, you can do some firmware updates and bulk updates or bulk execution of commands on a lot of devices. Everything is possible. So even you can schedule the same. So once it is done successfully, the flows will be sent to the NetFlow Analyzer server. And to verify whether they are being sent successfully, once you click on the flow analysis module from the inventory, you will see the router gets added over here, and the interface name. As you can see, I didn't do anything under the flow analysis module. I just added a device and configuration management, which resulted in managing the configurations of the devices, as well as enabling the flows in the devices for bandwidth monitoring. So which makes your life easier. So on a single click, we'll be able to do the same. So I got a few questions from the audience. Like I got a question from Sani from Orlando. So he's asking like, okay, can I manually type the configuration and execute it on the device? Is it possible? Yes, Mr. Sani, yes, it is absolutely possible. I just gave you the answer for it. Using the configurates feature in NCM, you will be able to do the same. Execute commands, set of commands on multiple devices on a single click. And one interesting thing, you can also schedule this and get notified about the results. I got a second question from Rick from Disneyland. So I'm not able to see any flows even after configuring the device. What could be the reason? So Mr. Rick, there are a lot of reasons for the same. So there are major two possibilities. That is, one is there could be a human error in while configuring the device. So we have to anyways cross-check whether the configuration is correct or not. And the second thing is something in your network could be blocking the device, or your device itself is not exporting the flow due to some access list configuration on the device. So again, we have to check your network and also the access list configuration on the device as well. And another possibility is where the NetFlow Analyzer server is receiving the flow, but we are not showing the same in the product UI. So how do we confirm it, whether the NetFlow Analyzer server is receiving the flows or not? So we have packet capturing tools. You can install any one of the packet capturing tools in the NetFlow Analyzer server. So the most common packet capturing tool we use and we recommend our prospects are Wireshark. So you install Wireshark in the NetFlow Analyzer server. So Wireshark listens to the flow at the NIC level. So as soon as it receives the flow, the data gets populated in the Wireshark UI. So you have to check whether we are receiving the flows or not. So even Wireshark, if Wireshark is not able to see the flows, then it is definitely your network issue or the access list configuration of the device. Or in some rare cases where Wireshark could be displaying the data but not NetFlow Analyzer. This could be because of two reasons, where Windows Firewall could be blocking the UDP port number 9996. So you have to make sure that you write an inbound rule to allow the UDP port or the traffic from the UDP port 9996 or any port you configure in NetFlow Analyzer. Or you can simply disable the Windows Firewall. So the next option is you can use the IP, or if you're using a Linux operating system, in those cases, we have to configure the IP tables. So because it could be blocking the UDP port as well. So these are the stuff that we need to make sure to see the data in the flow analysis module, even though we are configuring the device in exact manner. The next question I got is from Rich. So I configured the device to export the flows from interfaces, gigabit interfaces, like 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, and 0/4. That is strange that I'm not able to see the flow from only one interface, like 0/4. I'm able to see the traffic and the interface gets populated on the tool. So that is strange. So again, we have to check on the configuration. And the next stuff is we have to check whether the interface is layer 3 interface or layer 2 interface. So we have to make sure that the traffic is through that interface or not. So these are some of the possibilities where we might have to check to see all the interfaces that you have configured to export the flow from. So I think that's it for the questions now. So let me quickly drill down into the inventory part. So NetFlow Analyzer inventory has two sections, majorly device level traffic and interface level traffic. So as you can see here, we have two segments. There is device level traffic and interface level traffic. So as soon as you export the flows to the NetFlow Analyzer server, NetFlow Analyzer auto detects these flows and populates the device information. And when you expand it, you'll be able to see what are the interfaces that you are exporting the flow from. So you can click on any one of the interface to see the device level or interface level information. So let me quickly drill down on a device level information. Let me choose a device first. So these are the list of devices that I have added in the NetFlow Analyzer module, or configure the devices to export the flow. They are being populated over here. So this is a snapshot page of the device where I'm able to see the device level traffic. So I will get information like what is the maximum speed, the average speed, and also I can see the report type based on the device traffic, or what is the top in interface, or what is the top out interface traffic. And we also have the feasibility of seeing the data in chart format, short chart format, or in the graph format as well. So you can choose any one of them. And under the interface tab, it will list you down all the interfaces that you have configured the flow from. So say for example, in this device, I have configured on the interfaces on these both interfaces to export the flow. So you can drill down any one of the interface to view the interface level traffic, and you can have and drill down information. And again, you can see the data based on the utilization or the speed or the volume being transferred. And also you can see both in and out traffic from that interface. The application level traffic. So here you'll be able to see what is the top most used application in the device level. It looks like GRE_app is contributing a lot of traffic in the device level. It looks like 12% of traffic is from this certain application. And next comes the source. So just like what we saw in application, the same applies for the source. So it will show you what is the topmost used source in our network. And the same applies for the destination. What is the topmost used destination? And again, the quality of service. So the DHCP, what you write in your network, and what is the topmost contributor for the traffic. And we have a conversation tab, which will give you information on, okay, what are the two IPs that are talking most, and what application are they talking. So you will get this information on the top conversations list over here. And autonomous system view, or the traffic based on autonomous system number, irrespective of organization name, we can see the traffic over here. You'll be able to see what is the in traffic, out traffic, and the minimum of both. And we also have seen the data in graph format as well for different data types. And next comes the attack. So we have hard-coded NetFlow Analyzer with an algorithm which has the potential to identify some behaviors of the tools, behaviors of the devices, like bad source or destination, DOS attacks, or scanner probe, or invalid flows. So with this algorithm, we'll be able to identify whether the behavior of the device falls within any of these range. And say, for example, if there is a ping request from an invalid IP called 0.0.0.0 for more than 100 times, then it is an behavior of a bad source or destination algorithm. So NetFlow Analyzer has the potential to identify these algorithms and report you on the same. And to mention that it is an add-on, so you have to enable, by default it will be disabled, you have to enable the ASAM add-on, which is also referred as attacks in our tool. So you have to enable it, and then you'll be able to see the information. So you can click on any one of the attack to see who are the top offenders, who are the top targets, and what is the top traffic source for this attack. You'll be able to see these informations from the device level itself. So whatever information what we just saw on everything from the device level, now let's quickly drill down into an interface to view the interface level traffic. And to mention that one cool thing with our inventory is we can sort the timeline over here. So you can sort the timeline based on the data will get populated. So let's say that I want to see the topmost utilized interface for the past 7 weeks. So I'll be selecting the weekly timeline, and I'll be just hitting the sort button, which will be giving me the informations like, oh, it looks like ABC Ethernet from this device is being utilized the most in the past week. So on a single click, without doing much, you can get these informations from the cool inventory. So this is so user friendly. So let me click on an interface to get the interface level traffic right now. So what you're seeing here is the interface level traffic, or it is a snapshot page of an interface from this certain device. So on a quick overview, you will get what is the in utilization and the out utilization of the interface. Like it looks like it is being utilized more than 40%. And also you will get the attack information from that interface. So how many attacks am I getting from this interface? And also you'll get the what is the capacity. You can define the capacity of that interface by defining the speed. So the traffic page. So from the traffic page, you'll be able to see the live traffic on a minute average. So where you can sort the timeline. So let me select the last hour. So now the data what you see here is on a minute average. So you'll be able to see the traffic till the previous minute, which is best in the market that we offer. So you'll be able to see the traffic irrespective of both in and out traffic. And again, multiple data types like packets, utilization, volume, and the speed. So you will get informations like what is the total traffic, total packets transferred, what is the maximum and the minimum traffic packets being transferred, when was it happening. And also we do some calculations to show you the 95th percentile and also the standard deviation. So you can use the same whenever it's useful for you. And we also have the feasibility of seeing the data in table format as well. So you'll be seeing the data irrespective of with respect to time and the traffic. So this is where the topmost used applications gets listed down. So you will be able to easily drill down in the interface that you're looking out for. So it looks like I have 4 megabytes of YouTube traffic in my network, which is pretty decent. Looks like everyone is working today. So you can also see the same in graph or table format as well. And just like any other what we saw, you'll be able to see in pie chart and graph format as well. So you can expand the same to have an in-depth analysis like what are the total applications that have been contributing for the traffic in the last hour, where you can sort the timeline for, you can choose the multiple timelines as well. Cool, isn't it? So the application. So it will list you down all the applications that we just saw. The next comes the source. So who's the topmost source contributor in my network for the last hour for the traffic? So again, you can expand it, or you can simply click on any one of the source, which will give you a complete conversation list. Like what are the unique destinations that the source was trying to talk with, and what is the traffic, and what is the DSCP and the protocol for this traffic. You will get these all informations on a single click. You can drill down on a single source where you will get all these information. And again, you can also see the data in graph format as well. So one cool feature about Netflow Analyzer is wherever you see a data, you have the feasibility of exporting the data in PDF, CSV, or you can simply send the report in PDF format to your email address. And also you have the feasibility of scheduling it. And also you can see the data based on in traffic and out traffic as well. And again, you will be able to see the topmost destinations, and also you can even drill down on the same. And the quality of service, the DSCP traffic. So what is the DSCP that you have written for the most traffic consumption, and the conversation. Just like what we saw over there under the source tab, this will give you the whole record of the top conversations. Like what are the two IPs that we're talking the most, and what is the traffic amount, what is the application port and the protocol and the DSCP that was contributing for the traffic. So next comes the NBAR, CBQoS, and Multicast MediaNet. So these are Cisco related features where you have to do some additional configuration to fetch these information from the devices. So let me quickly drill down on an NBAR CBQoS enabled interface from the inventory. So yep, there you go. So this will list you information on the class-based quality of service for any Cisco related devices. You will get information what is the pre-policy traffic and what is the post-policy traffic, and the NBAR applications as well. So any of the web-based or and the client-server application that uses the dynamic port will be listed down under the NBAR applications, which is again a Cisco-enabled device, which is again on a Cisco-enabled device. So one of the best example is BitTorrent, which uses a dynamic port. So you can see the traffic based on NBAR applications. So then comes the MediaNet. So let me drill down into a MediaNet interface. Give me a quick minutes. Okay. So you will be able to see the MediaNet traffic over here. So say for example, in my organization, I'm having media-rich applications or video streaming applications. That is more of a commercial media applications like webinar tools, seminar tools. And if I'm conducting a lot of video-based applications, so I'm responsible for monitoring the same in order to provide sufficient bandwidth to have a hassle-free video streaming. So the conference or the seminars is not interrupted due to latency or availability or the packet loss or the jitter. So using this MediaNet, we'll be able to monitor the just information what I just said, like jitter, latency, availability, and the volume being transferred. So it will help you optimize the media-rich applications in your network. And we have the ABC tab over here, which will give you information on the application's response time, and again the NBAR2 applications, and what is a HTTP and HTTP host. So these are the interface level information that we can see in the snapshot page of the interface. So I have a few questions from the audience over here. So the first question is, okay, I have configured the devices to export the flow, but it is strange. I'm seeing the interfaces named as ifindex1 and ifindex2 or something like that. That is not the actual name of that interface. So what is it all about? So yes, so the solution for this is as soon as you export the flow from the devices, what happens here is the interface gets added over here, and by default they will be added with the if index name and not by the name that you have configured for the device. So it is not that has to be done with the R tool. It is the limitation of the NetFlow technology itself. So to overcome this issue, what we can simply do is we have multiple ways of resolving it. So you can simply drill down on the device and set SNMP. So let me just show it to you. So you have the feasibility of updating an SNMP. So what you can simply do is we can configure SNMP on the device and update the SNMP over here so that on a single click, it will pull out all the interface related informations like interface name. Or what you can do is you can simply edit the device and say that fetch these information from the router, or else at last also have the feasibility of manually editing the interface name. So you drill down an interface and say, what is the interface name? You always have that option to do here in NetFlow Analyzer. I got a next question. Say like, okay, my interface shows that I'm using that interface or more than 100% or 100%, but actually it is not being 100% utilization. So what could be the issue? So it looks like the prospect is experiencing an incorrect speed from the interface. So this could be of multiple reasons. So the first thing is we have to check on the configuration again, and we have to check what is the time difference between the NetFlow Analyzer server and the router time. So it has to be in a sync. So time sync could be another problem, or the interface could be sending the encrypted traffic from the tunnel interfaces. We also have to make sure that, or by simply updating the SNMP will also resolve this issue, or wherever you can update the speed over here. So if you expand it, when you see the edit interface details, you have the feasibility of editing the bandwidth capacity of that interface. So once you edit the actual speed, you'll be able to see the correct speed. So this is all about the questions for now. So we just saw the devices level and the interface level traffic. So let me quickly drill down to the application level traffic. So the apps, what you see here is on the whole interface, on whole the network level. So the applications, what we just saw previously is for the device level and the interface level. But what we are seeing now is the application level traffic for the whole network or from the whole devices that you have configured the flows from. So let me quickly drill down into that application. So it will give me what is a whole application level traffic and what is the interface that is contributing for this application. So you can drill down the certain interfaces to view, have an in-depth analysis. So let me quickly drill down on this interface. Okay, so it looks like some of the major applications are contributing the most. And one thing with NetFlow Analyzer application monitoring is, so we have INA standards, we follow INA standards and have made 10,000 port with protocol mapping. So that means whatever application you see here, it has been according to the INA standard and has been mapped with the port and the protocol. In some custom made applications, say for example, in your network, you could have custom applications. One best example is like Exchange application, where we might not have the port and the protocol mapping. So in those cases, what we do is we do monitor the application, but we'll be naming the application as unknown underscore app or just underscore app, just like what you see here. So in those cases, just to update the port and the protocol mapping, you can simply click over here and do the mapping from a single point. So you can just say, okay, this is my Exchange application. And also you have the feasibility of defining the range. You can say that if the IP range falls within this range and the request, the port and the protocol name is this, then it is an Exchange application. Anything other than that is just a chunk. You can define these criteria as well with the application mapping. So the next tabs under the inventory is the quality of service. So again, you'll be able to see the maximum traffic or the contributor for the traffic by your quality of service or the DSCP. So you can click on the same to see, okay, this DSCP is contributing a lot for the traffic in my network, just like what we saw under the apps. And WLC, which is an acronym for wireless controllers for Cisco devices. So we will be dealing about WLC in our next session, which is happening on next Tuesday, that is October 2nd, on the same time. And again, the attack level information. So this will show you or display the topmost attack in the whole network or from the devices that you're exporting the flow from. So drilling down will give you informations like who are the source occupancy, the destination occupancy, the top targets, and just like the information what we saw under the interface or the device level attacks information. Yeah, so one thing that has to mention here is groups. So we have multiple use cases for creating a group in NetFlow Analyzer. So this will give you better picture on the traffic consumption as a whole, and it will also help you to provide access for multiple user accounts. So you can create multiple user accounts using NetFlow Analyzer. So we will be dealing that shortly after the grouping section. So let me get into the groups. So under groups, you can create or you can group devices together or interfaces together or IPs together or applications together and DSCP together. So yeah, I notice a lot of groupings over here. So each has their own use cases. So let's first discuss why should we group our devices together. Say for example, you have an multi-branch organization or your requirement is to monitor multi-branch organization and you have multiple human resources for monitoring each branches. So in those cases, what you can do is, if you dedicate a resource for monitoring the devices in your India location, then you can simply group the devices that are available in India location so that you can assign this engineer or resource to monitor the devices that falls within this criteria. So what happens here is the resource, the human resource or the user that you create will have scope for only the devices that falls within this branch or the group that you have created. He will not have access to any of these other devices that is added in the NetFlow Analyzer. And another use case is if you want to group the devices that is contributing the traffic for each department in my organization. So say for example, I need to group the devices that I have dedicated for the R&D purposes. So the use cases are more for the device groupings. Next is interface grouping. Let's just assume that I have got 2 to 3 WAN link interfaces from the ISP for my network. and I wish to have a consolidated view of the traffic information of all the three WAN interfaces on a single console. So as of now, we'll be able to see the traffic information on three different interfaces or three different WAN interfaces. But to see a consolidated view, we have to group these three WAN interfaces together so that I'll be able to see the traffic WAN for my network or my organization. So this is one example. Or if you're doing the port channel, which is the practice of any network administrator. So you can group the interfaces that falls in the port channel, and also you can see the traffic for each port channel. Or if you want to group, see the traffic for VLAN interfaces or virtual interfaces, you can very well do that. So you just hit on the inventory. Once you create a group, navigate to the inventory, hit group section, where all the interfaces that you have created a group will be listed down. So you can click on each of the interface group that you have created and expand it, and you'll be able to see the interface information, traffic, application, and the topmost used source and the destination or the quality of service. The inventory remains the same for all the groups that you just create. A best practice is you just have to be very cautious about the speed that what you set while creating an interface group. So you have to be very cautious about it to see the actual values and not see the wrong values. And next is the IP groups. So IP groups have multiple use cases. So say for example, I have two branches. One is in India, another one is in Tokyo. So I wish to monitor the traffic or the link that connects between these two branches. I wish to get information like who's the top source in this link, destination, and what is the traffic. So in those cases, I'll be just entering the IP over here of the two branches and hit next. So it will be asking for the interfaces to be associated. So once I get these informations, it will show me the traffic between these two branches on my network. Or another use case could be like, say you're an ISP and you wish to monitor the traffic for your customers. So what you can simply do is you can just simply mention the IP addresses of your customers over here so that you'll be able to see the customer level traffic. Or in another case, which is being frequently asked nowadays is, say for example, I have a WAN link which is being shared by 2 to 3 organizations, and how do I monitor it? So in those cases, what you can do is you can create 3 IP groups by associating the single WAN link interfaces, and the criteria will be like mentioning the IP network. So even though the link is shared, each organization will have their own network range. You should enter these IP network range over here so that you'll be able to see the traffic on the shared WAN interface for whatever you consume. So these are some of the use cases for IP groups that you create. And next comes the application groups. So say, for example, I have a lot of in-house applications or my business critical application. So I just want to make sure that the business critical applications has the more preferences than the social media applications or leisure applications. So I wish to decide on how should I allocate the bandwidth for each of them. I should know what I'm using priorly. So to get these information, you can group these applications together. Say, for example, you can group all these social media applications like what I have done here, like Facebook, Skype, and YouTube together and see the traffic for the same. Or you can simply group the HTTP and HTTPS level traffic information. And again, you can group some DHCP, that is critical DHCP that you have written, and see the traffic for the same. So let me quickly show you the HTTPS traffic that I have created in my NetView Analyzer UI. So yep, there you go. So this is the total HTTP and HTTPS traffic that have been being used in my network. It is like in 80 MB for 1:44 p.m. And it will also list you down what is the interface that has been contributing most for this 80 MB. So I can drill down on specific interface to see this information over here. So this is all about the grouping features. So again, the best practice for doing a grouping is you'll get a better picture and the better visibility of the traffic consolidation. Let me quickly go back to the slides. So we just saw device level traffic information, just saw the traffic interfaces in the application, and the same with the interface level traffic, like what is the top contributor for the traffic, whether it is source and destination or QoS. We just saw how to do the application mapping from the UI itself without getting any device intervention. And we just saw what are the groups that are available and how to group those devices or interfaces together, and what is the use case of all of them. So now let's get into the dashboard. So we have done some really cool virtualization with our tool, and we name it as dashboard. So on a single dashboard view, you can simply have a quick glimpse about what is your status of your network, like what are the device status or what is the interface status. So as you can see here, the heat map of all the interfaces, it looks like the status of this particular interface is unknown. It has some troubles with it. And the other interfaces that are in the green are without any issues. Similarly, we have n number of widgets that are available in the dashboard. So whenever you create a dashboard for your requirement, you can choose what are the widgets that are supposed to be in the dashboard. And again, we have some predefined dashboard views like the traffic overview, which will give you information on top talkers in your network, and it will also give you application level overview, like what are the top most layer 4 and layer 7 application that is being using, and the quality of service, the DHCP based the traffic information, and again the attack information. And let me show you how to create a quick dashboard view over here. So you hit next, name a dashboard, and select what are the widgets that you think that are necessary. So let me select a couple of them and hit next. So associating user, say for example, so I have different human resources for monitoring the security aspects and monitoring the interfaces that have been dedicated, the WAN interfaces, and have been dedicated resources for monitoring a certain departments in my organization. So in this case, I can give the exact data that what they are looking out for. So in those cases, what I can do is I'll just select the widgets for those information. Say for example, if I'm looking for monitoring the WAN link interfaces, I'll just select the widgets that are associated for the WAN interfaces, and I will select the operator. So say for example, Sanjay is a guy who monitors or who takes care of the WAN interfaces. So I'll just allow the visibility of this dashboard to Sanjay, where other operators or other users will not have any visibility of this dashboard. Sanjay will only have the visibility for this WAN link interface dashboard. So just like this, you can restrict the scope and the visibility of the dashboard or the data for multiple users that you create on the NetFlow Analyzer UI. So once I hit create, so all the dashboards will be listed down over here, so you can have a quick glimpse about what is the traffic related information. So the next is, let me get into the slides. So yep, there you go. These are the list of widgets that are available. You have the feasibility of choosing across widgets and the user association as well. So administrating NetFlow. So we just saw how NetFlow Analyzer helps you manage your network and the bandwidth. Now let's see how we can administrate the NetFlow itself. So under NetFlow administration, we have something called as user management, license management, and self-monitoring mechanism, and security settings, REST API, and we have a lot of tools over here. So let's have a quick glimpse and skim over everything. So user management. So just like what we discussed earlier for dashboard, you can create n number of users in NetFlow Analyzer, and also you can define the role for each user that you create. So let's say that if I'm the super user or the administrator of whole my organization, I can let me be the administrator. Or if I have a layer 2 technician, I mean L2 technician who takes care of a certain branch or certain devices, I'll be allocating the operator role over here. So where I can define what is his scope, what are the devices that he should see. So I can also define the username and the password over here for him. And when I hit next, I can see, okay, this guy should have access to only these device groups. So this is again another use case for creating a device group or the interface group or the IP group. And also you have the feasibility of the authentication as well. So we have Radius authentication over here. That is the remote authentication dial-in user service. So you can use this authentication for authenticating the user before getting in. As well as you also have the Windows domain AD. So you can simply integrate the Active Directory with the NetFlow Analyzer so that you'll be able to create a user for all the users who are in your Active Directory. So this is a quick glimpse about the user management. So the next subheading is license management. So we have a very user-friendly license management in NetFlow Analyzer. So as I told you earlier, NetFlow Analyzer license is based on per interface and not device. So as soon as you export flows from a certain interface or a device, that interface is accountable for one NFA license. So where you can toggle the NFA license between multiple interfaces. So say for example, I have exported interfaces flows from these two devices, and I do not wish to monitor these interfaces as of now. So I can select those and hit unmanage. So what happens here is the license will be not applied to the devices anymore. Even though they are sending the flows now, we'll not be able to will not be monitoring it, and the license will not be applied to it. So what happens here is we'll be having two additional NFA licenses, interface license. You can use those two NFA licenses for any new interfaces that you have added over here, added or exported the flow from. So NFA will cleanly sort the devices or the interfaces that you're managing or unmanaging. Managing will be accountable for a license, unmanaging will not be accountable for a license. And if you're exporting any new interfaces, flows from new interfaces, they will also be listed down over here so that you can apply the license for them as well. And self-monitoring mechanism. So yeah, we do monitor the traffic of your network. So what if the flow rate is huge all of a sudden? So how will I get notified? So I should not get any slowness. I should not experience any slowness of the product or the UI. So to answer these questions, so we have self-monitoring mechanism in NetFlow Analyzer where I can define the threshold values. Say like monitoring the NetFlow Analyzer server. So I can say that send me a notification if the Java CPU of this NetFlow Analyzer server crosses 90% or anything beyond it or anything below it for 2 consecutive times. Send me an email or simply show me a notification with the critical in the NetFlow Analyzer UI. So by defining these, I'll get an immediate glimpse even if there is a slight variation in the Java CPU utilization. Just like this, I can define threshold values for CPU or the Postgres database as well, and also the free disk space. And just to let you know that we have a cool dashboard view where you can get a quick glimpse about the CPU utilization, memory utilization of the NetFlow Analyzer server itself, based on which you can take the remedy actions. So you can simply run this dashboard on your Knox screen, or you can just make this your default dashboard so that you can have an immediate glimpse about what is the flow rate as of I'm receiving now, what is the DB connection count. And just to let you know that we have something called as Knox screen viewer over here, where whatever the dashboards that you create, you can run this on your Knox screen. So in your Knox room, you can just run this on your Knox screen so that any device updates or any critical alarms will get populated over here. So from the single click, you will get into the drill down option and you'll be able to see a lot of data. And also we have multiple visibility types. You can choose the refresh mode. So that is all about the Knox screen viewer. So the next thing that I want to mention is the security setting that we have introduced in the UI. So from the day one, we are using SSL certificate for secure connection between the server and the client. So in the recent times, in the recent version, what we have done is we have introduced this SSL configuration in the UI itself and not in the backend. So what you can do is if you're looking out for a secured connection like HTTPS, you can simply select the secure mode and import the certificate if you have. So if you don't have an SSL certificate with you, you can very well go ahead and create your own self-signed certificate, or you can simply generate the CSR. So we have made this again user-friendly for users to get this done without any interaction with the tech support. So let me quickly drill down back. Okay, REST API. So we get a lot of questions that can this NetFlow Analyzer be integrated with any other tools or any other third-party applications for multiple purposes? So this requirement is very dynamic. So a lot of customers or prospects have a lot of requirements and purposes for integrating NFA with multiple tools. So yes, to answer this, we do have option for the same. We use a concept called REST API. So where we use this REST API, and if your third-party tool or if your own tool supports integration with REST API, you can very well go ahead and integrate NetFlow Analyzer with your own tool. So yes, integration is possible with the help of REST API. And tools. So we have common tools like ping tools and MIB browser to just get a quick output of the OIDs. And I also have the SNMP trap forwarder and the syslog forwarder and also the syslog viewer. So these are some of the free tools that are available from Manage Engine. What we have done is we have just added this in a UI so that just in case if you have a requirement, you can use any one of these for your requirements. And again, just to let you know that we have rebranding feasibility. So we can just rebrand our NetFlow Analyzer according to your organization or however you want to see it. And we have the feasibility of sending you notification using an SMS or an email. So to do that, you have to define your SMS mail server setting over here. So you have to enter in your SMTP server, what is the port that it's running, and what is the email ID. So you have to key in those information for sending an SMS, for sending an email, and for SMS, both SMS gateway option is available as well as SMTP. So if you have an SMS gateway, you can just help us with the parameters like API key, the recipient, and the post and the get fields. So with these information, we'll be able to integrate the REST API with the SMS gateway and send SMS from the same. Or else we can simply use the SMTP for sending an SMS as well. So these are some of the quick stuff that are available for managing or administrating the NetFlow Analyzer itself. So we just saw what is user management, license management. So and this is the different dashboard view and the place where you set the threshold value for self-monitoring and the security setting for SSL enabled. And we just saw what are the tools. So that is it for today. So we just saw how to configure a device to export the flow and what is the background, how is it working. We just saw a quick introduction to NetFlow Analyzer and the difficulties faced by any network admins in your network and how we can eradicate the same using NetFlow Analyzer. We just saw the device level traffic and the interface level traffic, and we also saw the grouping and the mapping features, and we also saw a few features about administrating NetFlow Analyzer by itself. So we have a next session that is scheduled on October 2nd, Tuesday, that is next week on the same time.